What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave and this is Hudson Moto Visuals. We're out on the road glide on this beautiful afternoon. We're gonna go get something to eat, and I want to talk to you about how do you get into motorcycling. You know, motorcycling is something I love to do, I'm very passionate about. And sometimes when you find that passion and you think motorcycling is what you want to do, you got to start somewhere, right? So what I want you to do first is, if you're asking yourself, hey, why do I want to get into motorcycling? What is it about motorcycling that I want to get into? There's so many reasons. Is it because your dad rides? Is it because your mom rides? Is it because your family rides? Or your friends? Is it because you want to travel on two wheels and you want to experience it? But in the end, all these are valid answers. In the end, you want to make sure you want to do it for the right reasons. Now, I don't want you to go out there, I'm just a guy on the internet. I don't want you to go out there and say, hey, Dave said, get a leader bike and just do, and you can learn on that. No, there's a process of learning to ride a motorcycle. And you have to understand that if you want to get into motorcycling, you know, it is a money pit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I spent thousands of dollars on my machines, which I love I love very much. And also, you have to keep in mind, it's very dangerous, and you have to respect what we do, and you have to respect your capabilities on a bike. There's a lot of things you could push yourself to the limit with with this motorcycle, with any motorcycle, but sometimes you have to know your limits and you have to be comfortable. So you really have to truly ask yourself, why I want to get into it. Is it because you want to show off to that hot girl down the block and say, hey, look, I got a motorcycle? Then you shouldn't get a motorcycle. Is it because I want to do wheelies on a road glide in a controlled environment, and you want to learn how to do that kind of stuff? I'm all for it. A controlled, safe environment. But because you want to do it on the street and show off, that's not a good idea. So if you really want to get into motorcycling, you really have to ask yourself, why do I want to ride? And then once you answer that question, the second question you have to ask yourself is, what kind of bike do I want to ride? And what kind of motorcycling I want to do? So that's actually a two-part question. So if you want that nice super bike running down the road and going real fast, like I said, you really have to respect what those bikes can do. But if you're on a track and you want to be the next Marc Marquez or Valentino Rossi, and you keep that in a controlled environment, learning how to use the superbike, I'm all for it. But if you start bringing that on the street, too many variables, too many people you could hurt. So you want that flashy sport bike, or you want that big old lazy cruiser like Animal here, or you want a standard, you want to commute on your bike. You have to ask yourself, what kind of bike and what am I going to use it for? Am I going to be a weekend warrior and, you know, take it out just the weekends? What kind of bike do I want? Do I want to carve up canyons? You really have to ask yourself, what am I going to be using the bike for? And then after you decide what I'm going to be using the bike, you have to pick the right bike. I wouldn't want to commute on a Hayabusa every day. I mean, you probably could, but I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to commute on on a Ducati Panigale V4, no, my back would hurt. Plus I have a backpack, no. And you don't want to take a lazy cruiser to the track. Why would you want to do that? I mean, there are people that do it. They did have the King of the Baggers race, so, you know, I can't say you can't do that. But like I said, you have to really, really decide what you want to do with the bike and what kind of bike. So you answer those 3 questions, and then the time comes. Now where do I start after I answered all 3 questions? Well, you want to look up MSF, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. So in the United States, there is a rider's course called MSF, and they teach you how to ride a motorcycle. You can look them up online. It's a great tool because it gives you a lot of information on how to start, where to start, what am I looking for in a class, and all the classes they recommend on there are all certified. Now when you decide to say, hey, you know, this June I'm going to take my motorcycle license, now what do you expect from the course? Well, you're going to learn the functions of a whole of the bike, just like you do with your car. Where's the blinkers? Where's the throttle? Where's the brakes? Where's the horn? Do they provide gear for you? The one I went to, yes they did. They provided a helmet. You had to bring your own gloves. You had to wear a long sleeve shirt, long pants, and also boots that cover your ankles. So they do provide the helmet, which is important. Here in New Jersey there are helmet laws, and you can't get around that. So they provide all those things. So basically you just come with jeans on, always jeans, ankle high boots, long sleeve jacket, and gloves. Some places do offer gloves, and they do offer the jacket, but each course is different, so look it up. Also, for me, I feel like you don't have to be familiar with a manual transmission because all motorcycles are manual transmission. But it is to familiarize yourself with it. Read about it. I know it's a little different when you read about it and then actually doing it. But if you kind of know the concept in your head, then it does help. But they do teach you that in the course. Now, if you don't know how to drive a manual car, yes, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to learn how to ride on the bike. But if you just focus and hunker down and really understand what a manual transmission does and how it works, I think you'll be fine. And once you do it a few times and really practice, when you're in the MSF course, I think you'll do fine, and you'll pass that portion of the class. And from what I did research, most of the time you do 5 hours of class time, which they go over the rules of the road just like a car. You do have to pass a written test, and then usually the weekends are 8-hour days, and you get to ride around in a giant parking lot, learning maneuvers, learning all the fun stuff. So there you go. When you look into that and you get your license, what's the next thing? Well, the next thing is gear. Gear is very, very important, and gear is something that you shouldn't take lightly. In a 4-wheel car, you have doors, the engine, the rear trunk, the sides, all that stuff that is there is almost a buffer zone when you get into an accident. You have airbags, you have everything. Now when you're riding on a motorcycle, all you have is your helmet, and the gear that you wear. So it's very important that you invest and you look up the type of gear that you want. And don't take this lightly. Really, get a helmet, something that fits you correctly. Get gloves. Get a specific motorcycle jacket. And pants and boots. They have to be all motorcycle specific. You can't just wear those garden gloves you got in the back. You can't just wear those Timberlands that they feel comfortable. You know, there is protection baked into all the equipment that you will use to ride a motorcycle. And, you know, that is your best bet of survival if you do get into an accident. I hope you guys never get into an accident, but you have to understand there's a possibility. So the best way to protect yourself is buying gear. Now the gear could vary from price to price, but most times, on average, from helmet, gloves, jacket, jeans, boots, you're looking at about $1,000 to $1,500. Now that's a lot, but in hindsight, if you really are serious about this, you take your life serious and you gear up. Invest in gear, proper gear. So now you took the MSF course, now you got your license, now you got the proper gear. Now it's time for looking for a bike. Now, don't get me wrong. If you respect the bike, and this is my opinion only, if you respect the bike, I feel like you could learn on any bike. But I have to say that in my experience, when I started on a Yamaha Bolt, you know, that bike only had, I think, about 60 HP. It was light, it was low to the ground, comparable to the Iron 883. I think it was a perfect beginner bike. And what is the perfect beginner bike? You know, when you look at sport bike wise, they say the 300 class, 400 class, which I believe in. You know, any new rider should start with those. And there are so many on the used market that you could use it for 6 months to a year, 2 years, and you'll still hold its value, and you could resell it to the next person that's learning how to ride a motorcycle. But I say to start on those, a used one instead of a new one. I say use those because you're going to learn on it. Just like your bicycle when you started riding a bike. How many times did you drop that? How many times did you scratch everything? How many times you did everything? So if you start out in 300 or the 400, whatever it is now, or even the Honda's 500s, you know, I feel like that's a good starting point for most people. Now, don't get me wrong, you could start out on a 600cc motorcycle, maybe a Super Sport, the Honda CBR 600RR. And like I said, it's my opinion, you can start on those bikes, but you have to respect it. Leader bikes, I wouldn't touch. My opinion. If you're a new rider. But if you decide to get a leader bike, remember, just respect it. You know, respect the motorcycle. But I really feel like you, as a person, will benefit more on a smaller bike. Maybe you can't keep up with the people, but it doesn't matter. skill always trumps how powerful the bike is. I mean, you know, you've seen so many videos where the guys are riding 1000s and the guy on the 600 is just flying by him because he understands how his bike works. You have 600s running around the track, and the 250, 300 is keeping up right with them because he understands his bike. So you really have to ask yourself, be honest with yourself and say, hey, look, I'm gonna buy this Iron 883 or buy this R3 or buy a beginner bike, and really say to yourself, I have to learn. If I want to step up to a bigger bike and have more confidence, the best way to do it is start out of a smaller displacement like I did. So you got your license, you got your gear, and you chose your bike. The next thing is, before you even get onto the road, insurance. Oh, insurance. Like Geico, like Progressive, like Allstate, like all these others, insurance can vary from state to state and from country to country. So, you really have to look into insurance on what kind of bike you want. I mean, insurance on a little 300, 400 is a lot cheaper than a liter bike. Just letting you know right now. I mean, with my two bikes, I have a Harley and I have a CBR at home. I mean, both of them, I think I pay around $1,500 for both of them, but I've been riding for a longer time, so they kind of give you a discount. $1,500 isn't bad for the year, but and that's full coverage on both of them. Well, maybe it's more than $1,500, but I forget. I know it's probably a little more than $1,500, but you have to really do your research. And sometimes I'm going to finance that new bike, and then you add on the insurance monthly, it doesn't fit. So take your time with picking a bike, research your insurance, because insurance is a big part of what we do, just like a car. You have to factor the price of insurance into, even if you're buying a new motorcycle as a first-time rider. If you're only paying, I'm only going to be paying $80 a month for this brand new motorcycle for 5 years, but then, your insurance is another $150 a month, then it gets a little tricky after that, and then you realize you're spending $300 a month. $300 a month isn't peanuts. So you got your license, you got the gear, you chose the bike you wanted, you got insurance on the bike. Now you're a motorcyclist. So now what do? Now, this might not be part of the topic of getting into motorcycling, but one of the big things I always preach is get a mentor. Get someone who will teach you and help you and ride with you mostly every day and help you understand the bike. Go over the things you learned in the MSF course. Keep doing your research. Just like cars, when you're on the bike, just like a car, you were terrible when you were a first-time driver. Now it's habit because you keep doing it every day. Now, some of you may not use the bike to commute, so it's very important on certain days that you go out. If you're going to meet up with everyone at 12 o'clock and then you're going to do a nice, beautiful ride to, say, upstate New York at 12, good. Why don't you get out a little earlier? Get out like at 8, 9 o'clock and just practice in a parking lot. Practice around your town. Also find a mentor that will help you practice. You need that because, riding by yourself is fun, and I'm doing this whole vlog thing, but if you're by yourself and you make a mistake, and sometimes there's no one around to tell you you're doing it the wrong way, and then it becomes a habit, it could be bad down the road. But once you do find that mentor, you know, ask him questions every day. You know, ask him how he learned. Ask him or her, I am sorry, or ask him or her, you know, what they've learned or why did they do certain things. You got to pick people's brains. And then, you know, you have your mentor, he's always helping you out, but always when you're out and about with people that you've ridden before, when you ride with, or people that you just met, ask them how they ride, you know. It's always a learning process, and I remember this to the day I die. When I was in the MSF course, one guy came up, and he was one of the instructors, but not for our class, and one of our instructors said to him, what's the best advice you could give somebody? And he was a older gentleman, and he goes, if you think you know everything about a motorcycle, don't get on a motorcycle. So, you know, he said it's always a learning experience. Every situation is different, so every situation shouldn't be taken lightly. And that stuck with me. So that's why I try to do the right thing, you know, by, you know, practicing my skills, riding, wearing the right gear, you know, make sure my insurances are up to date, you know, asking some of my friends, like, in this situation, what would you do? You know, cornering with a big heavy bike. It's just a learning process, and learning, that's what makes it fun about this hobby, this lifestyle, this whatever you want to call it, is that it's always a learning experience. So what you really want to do is, you know, ask yourself why you want a motorcycle, why you want to get into motorcycling. You know, research the MSF course. Don't take gear lightly. Buy the proper gear from head to toe, because one day it's going to save your life. It really is. And, you know, pick the right bike for you. Be honest with yourself and say, yeah, I do like that R6, but I'm a new rider. It's going to be a handful, and I'm not going to enjoy it. People just scare themselves off the bike. And then, you know, also find a good insurer. Find someone that, you know, that knows motorcycles. You know, like I use Riders Insurance in New Jersey. They're only offered in certain states, but they are motorcycle people. They understand what kind of bikes I ride. They know what kind of bikes I ride. You know, they don't just go off the displacement off the engine. You know, they understand how I ride a Harley. So do you want a little extra coverage on, you know, customizing your bike? We cover that too. So all that stuff. And last but not least, like I said, find a mentor. Just find that mentor who will be there by your side, holding your hand. It could be your boyfriend, could be your girlfriend, could be your dad, your wife, your best friend. One of my mentors, his name is Sean. He actually watches the channel. Big shout out to Sean. Also, Tom. They're always, ever since I started this motorcycle journey, they've always been there. You know, any questions I had, they always answered it honestly. So find that mentor, you know. So hope you liked today's video, guys. Just a little short trip around 9W. About to go get something to eat now. But so smash that like button. Comment below if you have any other tips or words of wisdom before people get into motorcycling. Also, subscribe to my channel if you like the content that I'm making. If you do subscribe, hit that bell notification, hit all. Every time I upload something to the good old YouTube, it will notify you. So I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the weather, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.